A brilliant woman named Noon is creating a 3D printed heart in outer space. After completing the print, she powers up a special charging device to bring it to life. And then it starts to beat. Overwhelmed with emotion, Noon watches her creation come alive right before her eyes. Later, she connects with her husband, Nan, through a futuristic hologram call. She excitedly shares that her theory was right all along. Zero gravity makes the heart print and function, just like a real one. With more research, she believes she can bring this technology to Earth and save millions of lives waiting for heart donors. She's filled with pride, especially since so many people had doubted her from the beginning, but Nan, he's always believed in her. Still, he admits how much he misses her. She's been away in space for over 3 long years. Noon thanks him tearfully for supporting her dream and promises, "I'll be home in 10 days. But fate has other plans. 10 days later, disaster strikes. On their return to Earth, the air system on the spacecraft fails, the entire crew dies. Noon never makes it home. Nan is shattered. He watches the gut-wrenching news and then attends her funeral, barely able to keep it together. Her body is preserved in perfect condition for 100 days. According to a traditional Buddhist ritual, before cremation, 2 months pass, Nan still mourns. He finds himself lost in memories, especially the day they first met. He was studying architecture. She was diving deep into medicine. He had just presented his concept for cozy living spaces on the moon, and she was mesmerized by one particular design. Nan had once explained that his goal was simple. He wanted to design moon homes that felt familiar, so people wouldn't feel lonely or homesick out there. Noon loved the concept. With the International Space Agency preparing for permanent human settlements on the moon, comfort was just as important as technology. She told him, "If I ever live on the moon, I want to stay in a house like yours." Now that very design, a cozy, moon-safe home hangs on the wall above Nan's bed, a quiet reminder of the woman he lost. Later, unable to cope, Nan puts on his VR headset and steps into the past their wedding day. He watches every moment, feeling her presence as tears stream down his face. He relives the day Noon brought home their pet dog, Harvey. He sees himself encouraging her to accept the space mission, and then he replays the moment Harvey died. But wait, Harvey is right there beside him, very much alive. Something isn't adding up. Confused and shaken, Nan visits a high-tech facility. There, he uncovers the shocking Truthless Lab, clones pets, replicating their exact traits and memories. It's designed to spare people the pain of saying goodbye. That's why Harvey never left him. He's a clone. At the facility, Nan meets Dr. V, a close friend of both him and Noon. Desperate, he asks if Noon can be cloned too. But the fifth immediately refuses. It's illegal and extremely risky, she warns. Nan pleads with her, insisting it's not just about him. Noon could change the world with her heart-printing technology. He even reminds V of how she once complained that cloning pets felt meaningless. Still, V stands firm. She won't help. Nan reminds V of a powerful moment from Noon's past presentation that had left the entire audience speechless. That day, Noon stood on stage and asked everyone to pretend they were surgeons. She painted a shocking scenario. A brilliant, compassionate doctor, someone who had saved countless lives, was now dying from heart failure. The only way to save him? A heart transplant. But then ... a twist. At the same time, a critically injured murder suspect arrives at the hospital. His heart is the perfect match. Noon looked out at the crowd and asked, "What would you do?" Nan had been sitting there, heart pounding. He stood up and said, "I'd save the doctor." He believed the doctor had the chance to keep saving others and that his life held greater long-term value. Noon nodded. She explained this was a classic ethical trap. No right answer, only hard choices. But then she revealed something amazing. There might be a future where no one would have to make this decision again. She talked about breakthrough research where scientists were building 3D printed hearts using a patient's own cells. This would completely eliminate the need for donors and even stop the body from rejecting the new heart. But Earth had a problem: gravity. It made the cells flatten and scatter instead of forming proper, 3-dimensional structures. So scientists turned to space, where zero gravity could finally let the hearts grow as they should. Years passed and the results were promising. Noon had been ecstatic. She believed they were on the verge of changing medical history forever. V listens, her face shifting. Memories of her own passion for cloning people begin to stir inside her. Her resistance begins to fade. Finally, she takes a deep breath and agrees to help. V tells Nan that while she knows the entire cloning process inside out, she's never actually done it before. She warns him this isn't some routine pet cloning. It's complex, risky, and unpredictable. She explains that first, they'll need to recover Noon's body from her parents. It's still being stored in a cryogenic chamber. After that, they must extract her brain, which holds her memories, and transfer them to the clone. Nan wastes no time. He heads straight to Noon's parents and shares his plan. But her father shuts it down immediately. He tells Nan that someone once tried this with another person and ended up creating a wild, unstable creature. He warns that cloning Noon might take several failed attempts, each one potentially warping who she was. Noon's mother is horrified. She believes the whole process could corrupt Noon's soul. Tearfully, she insists that her daughter is finally at peace and should be left that way. Frustrated, Nan fires back. He accuses them of being trapped in superstition even after raising one of the greatest scientific minds in history. Tension explodes into a heated argument. As Nan grows more agitated, Noon's mother begs him, "If you really loved her, please let her rest." Heartbroken and furious, Nan storms out and drives to the hospital in his sleek, self-driving car. There, he tells the staff he needs to transfer his wife's body to another province. But the worker refuses, saying the facility has already shut down for the day. Nan snaps. He causes a scene, shouting in desperation until security is called. The guards drag him out as he fights to stay. Later that night, the hospital worker calls Noon's father. "He came just like you said he would." It turns out her father had expected this all along, but the worker refuses to get further involved. Alarmed, Noon's father makes a decision. He'll move her body the very next day and proceed with cremation at the temple. But Nan has already made his move. That night, under the cover of darkness, he sneaks back into the hospital wearing a hooded cloak. He pulls the fire alarm. Alarms blare. People evacuate. In the chaos, Nan slips through the shadows, heading straight to the cryogenic chamber. He searches the cold, dim room, and then he sees it. Noon's body, frozen, untouched, perfectly preserved. Tears spill down his face. He opens the pod and falls to his knees, wrapping his arms around her lifeless form. He sobs uncontrollably, remembering her promise, "No matter what, I'll come back to you." The next morning, Noon's father arrives to collect the body. But when he opens the pod, he's horrified. Her head is gone. Back at the lab, V is furious. She confronts Nan, demanding to know what he's done. He admits it was the hardest thing he has ever done, but insists, if they were going to succeed, they have to go all the way. V warns him, if they fail to extract her memories, everything falls apart. The clone would be meaningless. She begins the delicate procedure. She explains that a deceased brain is extremely fragile. They only have one shot at this. Soon, memory fragments begin to appear. Bits and pieces of Noon's life flash before them, until the AI suddenly glitches. It can't tell if Noon was a doctor or an astronaut. V quickly overrides the glitch. She knows the answer without hesitation. Noon was both a doctor and an astronaut. No confusion needed. She then tells Nan that the memory extraction will take several days and gently urges him to go home and rest. That night, Nan sits alone, flooded by memories of his life with Noon. Every smile, every hug, it all comes rushing back. Then suddenly his phone rings. It's V. Her voice is tense. There's an anomaly. Without wasting a second, Nan races back to the facility. But when he hears the details, the news only deepens his frustration. Nothing seems to be going smoothly. On his way home, disaster. The police arrest him. Noon's father, a powerful and influential general, steps in and demands Nan return Noon's head so they can complete her funeral ritual. But Nan refuses. He won't give up on her. As a result, he's charged with desecrating a corpse and triggering a false emergency alarm. The court delivers a harsh sentence, 3 years in prison. Nobody really understands why Nan went that far. But whispers begin. People say that losing Noon may have broken his mind. 3 long years pass. When Nan is finally released, something strange happens. He meets a man who claims to be Noon. Time seems to freeze. Then the story jumps back 3 years earlier to the moment V first called Nan about the strange anomaly inside the memory scan. That day, V showed him a memory from when Noon was just 19 years old. At first, it seemed harmless. Noon was reading a study on sex reassignment surgery. Nan assumed it was just part of her medical training. But as more memories unfold, something jaw-dropping is revealed, a truth Nan never imagined. Noon had always wanted to be a man. She had seriously considered transitioning. She wore her hair short, kept her chest bound with a tight binder, and often tried different facial hairstyles in secret, hoping to see a version of herself that felt real. One day, she finally opened up to her mother and shared her truth. But her mother brushed it off, calling it a phase. Noon was crushed but remained determined. At a family party, Noon refused to wear a dress. Her father was devastated. He dropped to his knees, crying, begging her to just be a normal girl. V gently explains to Nan that after that painful night, Noon locked away her truth. She buried her identity deep in her mind and turned to science as a form of escape, a shield from her inner pain. But now, the AI has unearthed those long-hidden memories. And it's facing an impossible decision. Should Noon be restored as the woman the world knew, or the transgender man she had always wanted to be? Nan is heartbroken. If this was Noon's truth, then what did it mean for them? Did she ever really love him? Was their entire relationship a lie? He feels betrayed, like everything was a mask. But before he can spiral, V stops him. She gently shares something Noon once told her, something Nan never knew. Noon had said, "Nan never expected anything from me, and that's why I felt safe around him. She could just be herself, no pretending, no pressure." It was Nan who pulled her out of the dark, who saved her from the depression that was eating her alive. Nan freezes, stunned. Tears form, but he says nothing. He quietly walks outside, shaken to the core. V follows him out. She tells him that they don't have to go through with it. "We can stop the cloning process right now, if you don't want to see Noon again." Then she adds something even more powerful. During the cloning, if she alters just one chromosome from X to Y, Noon could finally be reborn as the man she always dreamed of becoming. Nan goes home that night, completely torn apart. He's carrying a storm of emotions. Confused, grieving, unsure of what to believe anymore, and then sirens. The police are outside. In a panic, he dials V and gives her his final decision. Do it. Clone Noon the way he always wanted, as a man. And tell him, "Be yourself no matter what, I love you." Seconds later, the police burst in and arrest him. Now back in the present. Noon has been successfully cloned, this time as a man, exactly as he had always wished. Nan sees him for the first time and rushes into his arms. They both cry, finally together again after years of pain, loss, and impossible choices. Noon looks at Nan with a soft smile and says, "I want to take your name. Call me Nan." He explains that he's resumed his 3D heart printing work, and the International Space Agency has even given him new funding. But this time, it's not just about hearts. He's now working to print entire human organs, offering people the chance to replace damaged body parts whenever they need. Nan is amazed and asks how Noon managed to speak to the ISA under a completely new identity. Noon smiles and says the ISA knows everything. He told them the truth, and instead of turning him away, they handled it all. They gave him a brand new identity, full legal documentation, and placed him into a new advanced research program. But there's one condition. In exchange for a new identity and full research funding, the ISA requires Noon to join the first permanent settlement colony on the moonset to launch in just 3 months. Nan hesitates. He looks at Noon and asks, "Aren't you scared? That same spaceship took your life once." But Noon's eyes are steady. He remembers everything, the pain, the waiting, the fight to be reborn. And most of all, Nan's final message. He smiles and replies, "Fear only stops people from making new discoveries, but courage ensures that they are remembered." Nan swallows hard. He's proud but scared too. What if I never see you again? Noon reaches for his hand. We can always video call. And visiting the moon? It's easier than ever now. Over the next few months, Noon prepares mentally, emotionally, and scientifically. Then the day arrives. He steps into the spacecraft, heart pounding, and lifts off, becoming one of the first humans to settle permanently on the moon. 5 years later, Noon appears in a live interview, broadcasting from the moon's surface. He's done the impossible, successfully printed every major human organ. His work has transformed medicine, saving millions on Earth. Back home, Nan and Vijay together under the early morning sky. They smile, knowing Noon's dream became reality, and that he finally gets to live life as the person he was always meant to be. The end. Thanks for watching. If you loved this story, hit like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments.